Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a very interesting knife review and knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Olight / Oknife, or we should just say Oknife Drever. A lot of people just call this the Oknife, right, by Olight, but it's actually the Drever by Olight / Oknife. Some weird Dr. Seuss vibes going on with today's video. I will link this knife right down in the description. It's actually pretty inexpensive. We're going to talk about price, but it is down there right underneath this video if you want to check it out. Thank you so much to Kaylin for sending this knife in for me to take a look at. I appreciate that. Yes, this will go back to Kaylin after I'm done. Thanks so much to my generous patrons for supporting me. There's a link for Patreon right down below as well. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of the Oknife Drever. Coming in at about 8 inches. Blade length, 3.5 inches. Cutting edge, about 3. So yeah, pretty straightforward knife lines. Full-size knife, not a huge profile. How about up against with an SH? That's not how you spell that. The Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2. It's similar slenderness to the Rat 2, but definitely closer to the size of the Rat 1. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? And the Benchmade Bug Out. Again, slender, similar to the Bug Out, but closer to overall length of the RSK MK1G2. Last but not least, the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3. You can see here, pretty much the same thing. It's right in between. All right, let's do carry profile real quick up against the Spyderco Para 3. Check out that action. It's got good action. Thickness. It's a little bit thicker than the Spyderco Para 3. The scales are contoured, and it's not like, oh my gosh, it's so thick I can't carry it, but it definitely is thicker. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. Here's some redemption. It does have a low profile flipper tab, so the area where it's maximum height, it's nowhere near as tall as knives like the PM2 or Para 3. So yeah, let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. The blade stock on this guy seems it kind of appears like it's too thick, but if I remember correctly, it's only 135 thousandths, which is fine. Let's try. Blade stock thickness. No, that cannot be right. I messed that up. Let's try again. Okay, I'm just stupid. It's 115 thousandths, and I have no idea what I'm looking at. Why did I think it was 135 thousandths? Okay, really not that all that thick. Materials, we're looking at G10, steel, more steel. This is steel, it's not titanium, it's all steel, and then N690. If you look at this knife on Blade HQ, it's going to list everything as premium materials. These are common materials for the budget knife world, and this is what we're looking at here. It's a budget knife. So premium materials to me are like carbon fiber, titanium, especially, you know, stuff like exotic stuff, like when you have other things woven into the carbon fiber, or you're looking at zirconium or Timascus, you're looking at blade materials like M390 or Damasteel, or those are premium materials. I don't know what this is. They're just normal. These are just normal materials for a budget knife. There's nothing really special going on here. The inside here, I don't know if you can see. We'll probably need my flashlight. You can pick up my flashlight down below if you want to. It's in the description as well. There is some milling going on in the steel liner, so that's nice. Weight, I'm going to guess this weighs something like 3.75 ounces. 3.49 ounces. Okay, so great ratios if you subscribe to the whole ounce and inch thing. Pretty good. Kind of surprising for their first knife, right? Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. Get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the description in the section that talks about my tools. T8 is what we're using here. The pivot is in fact a T8. I'm not even going to check the hardware. The pocket clip screws and the body screw are T6, but they're pretty minimal, which is nice. You can see there's literally just one screw, and that you don't necessarily need more. It's not really even flexing because there's steel liners in there. So there you go. Not a deal breaker. I don't like T6, but if there's only a couple, just make sure you have quality tools and a place to put your hardware, and you should be okay. What am I missing here? Did I have I missed something? I don't think so. I think we just did everything. All right, let's get into the review here. So ergonomically, this is very comfortable. The combination of the contoured scales, right, and the shape of the handle, there's plenty roomy. And oh my gosh, look at this. This is actually a full forward choil with plenty of cutting edge to spare. It's funny that this comes from a flashlight company, and one that I respect. I like Olight flashlights. That's what I've got here, is an Olight. They make great flashlights. In fact, I will link, in a knife review, I will link Olight flashlights right down in the description because you should definitely go check them out. But, for a company that exclusively, well, up until this point, as far as I knew, only made flashlights, there are a lot of elements here that are missed by companies who are trying to design a knife. Now, on the flip side of that, did they play it safe? Definitely. They knew what they were doing, and obviously Olight's paying attention to the community, the section of the community who likes knives and flashlights, right? There are certain, okay, so you don't necessarily have to design something that is perfect to be popular. And when I say perfect, I mean functionally, as far as the weird sort of pseudo standards that people like me make up for knives. Because in reality, there is nothing that is in this world that is technically perfect or imperfect. There's just more or less useful for people who are going to use this type of stuff in an infinite number of circumstances. Wow, that's a lot of weird information and syllables to throw at everybody. But generally speaking, right, this has straight lines. We have materials that most knife people like to see in this price range. We have a general level of comfort and some options for where you're going to put your fingers ergonomically, right? They didn't do anything that is overly visually offensive, but they also didn't do anything dramatic or insane or striking, right? The more crazy, the more aesthetically crazy you make something, right, the less likely that it's all going to come together in a perfect ergonomic package, right? It's like the Toyota Prius is very efficient, but does it look good? Sorry if you own a Prius. I think they're ugly as all. They look terrible. But you know what? Sometimes it's you can't always get all of that together, unless I guess Tesla disproves that. But sometimes you're working against the grain with those elements, right? It does come together sometimes, absolutely. I'm not saying it doesn't, but this design wasn't super risky, and I think they knew what they were doing. Is that a bad thing? No, not at all. There are some manufacturers, their entire design philosophy is around not being risky. Sorry, that was a weird cough. Yeah, it works. It's comfortable. And the pocket clip is not offensive, and it's short enough and it's flat enough to where you're, okay, I'm locked in, right? You can choke up here. It's nice. The jimping's in the right place. Yeah, ergonomics are good. There's good access to the liner here. This is carved out and scalloped. So easy. There's no double clutch. You can turn it, it'll fall, right? No lock stick or anything like that. It's nice. And there's a good contrast between the smooth black G10 and some of these, I imagine they're just heat anodized steel parts. You can achieve a blue or bronze color out of steel hardware with heat. Maybe it's some type of coating. I have no idea. The blade is fine. The logo is too much. It doesn't need to be that big. But okay, it's not hurting anything. Blade steel is N690. Not my favorite steel in the world, but it's very, very stainless and very easy to sharpen. It's okay at this price point. It's really just, honestly, it's just fine. The steels you want to watch out for are 8CR13 MOV / AUS 8. You don't want to see that in this. So N690, D2, 12C27, 14C28N, your Nitro Vs, and in some cases you can even get S35VN. Those are all generally acceptable steels, and there's a lot more. Those are just good examples, right? The grind, we have sort of a sheep's foot kind of esque blade with some belly here. Nearly fully flat ground aside from this area right here that has a little bit of a swedge. All these areas are nicely knocked down, and the cutting edge is plenty thin. It's not the thinnest thing in the entire world, but you can see here it does taper. Oh, come on. Can we see it? Yeah, it gets pretty darn thin, right? So it's going to work. Absolutely. You can do the thumb flick. You can do the reverse flick. You can do a flip. And the flipper tab is also not super obtrusive, not offensive in any way. It's nicely rounded down, so you can kind of deploy this thing however you want, and nothing is really in the way of anything else. The liners look good. There's one area right here where we've got a little bit more. I know this is nitpicky. We have a little bit more of a gap on this side, and perhaps that could be remedied by putting another screw in here, which is oftentimes why you see a couple of extra screws. For integrity's sake, you really only need one screw in most cases if you're backed up by a full steel liner. These are not nested. They are lipped. Perhaps another screw could keep that from happening, right? Because this is a production knife. This is not hand tuned, right? So oftentimes the reason that you see is an overkill situation with a rat. But boy, are those scales fixed down to that liner. They've got 5 screws, right? You don't need that many. A couple screws will do it, right? But that's probably why we're seeing that. Yours might look like this, it might not. It's really not hurting anything, but it's kind of a ew, you know. The pocket clip works. It is just sitting right on top of the frame. They really should have milled a spot, because it's not like, I'm sorry, not milled a spot. They should have cut holes or drilled holes for the pocket clip on the other side. This is not a nested liner, so you just cut the lefties out of this, right? Lefties, this is a liner lock. It's plenty easy to manipulate with the left hand, even though it's not a left-handed liner lock. They should have just drilled 2 more holes here for left-handed people, but they didn't, so okay. It is carved out also on the left side. So, I mean, it's like it's made for people to deploy on this side, right? But they didn't mill the pocket clip. Okay. And everything, I mean, the fit and finish other than that one spot really does look good. We're locking up here at, oh, it's hard to see, 30% or so. There is no blade play up, down, left, or right, which is... I don't know who the OEM is for this. It's not made in the United States. It's manufactured in China. No detent lash and no pivot lash. Pretty good. It's rounded back here. There's some shouldering on the tang of the blade, so it wraps nicely around that stop pin. Really smooth, guys. Really, like, seriously, it's smooth. It's running on bearings, and it feels really good. It's not like it's just gravity. I mean, it is gravity, but it's also consistently smooth. This is, it's very basic. Very, very, very basic. Not a lot of risks in this design, but it does work. I mean, it's right in line with a lot of the other stuff that I said was, hey, thumbs up for the design, right? Carve a spot for the left-handed pocket clip. I think probably another screw to make sure that the scales are held down. And I don't know, N690 is okay. The price, $69.95, it's $70. Yeah, you get the, I don't care much for the pouch, but they apparently include a coin. I don't know if that's a limited thing, probably. Okay, you know, I don't know what the value of the coin is. I would say no coin and charge me $50 to $55 for this, and it's pretty darn good. So judge that how you will. If you like coins, then okay. If you don't like coins, then you're going to have to pay an extra $15 for this. It's not the end of the world. Honestly, it's pretty, it's pretty impressive. So there are better value knives out there. I'm the knife review channel, not a knife and coin reviewer, right? So for the knife itself, there are knives that exhibit the exact same quality for less money out there. So can I tell everybody to rush out and buy this and it's the greatest thing in the whole world? No for that reason, and no for the basic fact that this is, if we get around the pomp and frill and the excitement of Olight making a knife, is really just another liner lock running on bearings that has a lot of the beat into the ground elements that we look for in budget knives. But it is a cheap knife that I like, and so in that sense I can recommend it. So it'll go in that playlist. This isn't, again, it's not like a, oh my gosh, wow, it's the greatest thing in the world. No, it's good. Like if you buy this, you're going to be happy with it. But it's another, you know, everything else aside, it's another inexpensive knife that's pretty well done. The price that they want for the knife and everything included is just a bit high. This is a $50 to $55 knife, best case scenario. But yeah, I thought it would be stupid. And I have great respect for Olight. I love their flashlights. I just wasn't sure about them making a knife, but no, it's pretty good. This is pretty straightforward, right? It's way better than I expected. Nothing spectacular for the knife world, just better than I expected. So definitely a fairly inexpensive knife that I like. Still in budget territory. The cutoff for budget on this channel is $75. So pretty good. Nice job, Olight. Thanks again to Kaylin for sending this in for review. I'll get this guy back to you. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.